Oh my God. Hey, everybody. I'm never going to stop starting this by saying, oh my God. You can't hear me? You can? Okay. On this episode, hi. I started this way too quick. Welcome back to I Swear to Drunk I'm Not God. This is season 4, episode 13, and we got Jeremy in the house.
Do people still do that?
I don't know. Where's West Side Gun? I stopped listening to all his music like a year ago. I was a Griselda fan. You hear me? You listen to Griselda?
I couldn't name a song. I've heard Griselda, but
yeah, Benny the Butcher, Conway the Machine. Do you know them separately at least?
Yeah, but not like song. I've heard songs, but I couldn't name one though.
Yeah, I love every last one of them. Well, not every last one of them because I stopped listening, but you get it. Ooh. They were my COVID era obsession. I went to a couple of concerts and Benny the Butcher was like mad late. And I was like, yeah, you ain't gonna never see me again.
You sound old.
Yeah.
Rappers show up late to shows.
Not happening. 4 hours? Nah, we're good.
I mean, look, Lil Wayne, honestly, 3-4 hours is...
Well, we know he's back in the back shooting up heroin or some shit.
Wow. Not heroin.
And that's what I don't really have time for with hip hop concerts is I don't have time for you to just be in the break room smoking. I don't have time for that.
Well, I think they're often not there yet.
He was. He just didn't come out.
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, we're leaving. I actually never saw the show because I left.
Really?
I left.
They probably had to pay a crazy fine.
And guess who came out? And I was pissed. It was Benny the Butcher at first. And who ended up coming out was West Side Gun. And I was like, I was like, he owed the crowd that at that point.
Gotta wait it out.
You know, but I was like, I don't even care because I'm not doing this again. Pusha T personally has been the best rap artist to see. And when I went to go see Clips last year, same. His show is 8. It starts at 7:59. It ends however long later on the dot. Ain't gonna be no like, oh, you know, they do the whole like, oh, we got local artists come through, open the show, X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But this was more like, we came here to do work and we gonna do said work and we gonna leave.
I guess it depends on the venue too, because some are really strict. Like you can't, like they won't even let the show happen if you don't end it on time. Yeah,
that's true. And and Clips was at Salt Shed, but it was a nice night. It was a beautiful night. It was a full moon and everything. And they were like, all right, y'all.
I wanted to see a show there.
We're out. You know, Lupe gonna be there in June.
Yeah, he's performing at the
Salt Shed
Chicago Fire too, like the soccer team. I promise you, he's doing like a halftime show. It's so weird, but I was thinking about going
at Soldier Field
specifically for that.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, do you need to adjust your mic before we get started? Because it's sticking straight up. Why is it like that? And you kind of doing the shoulder lean when you could just tilt it.
Okay. No one can see that, but I guess they know now that things are not as they should be. It's fine because it was radio.
I mean, and you don't got to be in it either.
Okay, now I'm too close to the mic. They don't know that either.
I just want you to be comfortable.
So I could have been quiet behind the scenes. Okay, that's it, Mom. Okay.
This is a raw podcast, okay, where we like when our guests are mad comfortable.
Okay.
And slide it down just a little bit more because I think it's hanging out. Like this thing is gonna tilt out. So pull the mic, push it into me. Yeah, there you go. So it's holding it. Because if it's heavy on the end, it's just gonna bloop.
So this is really the beginning of your episode?
Yeah.
Because we were talking about West Side Gun.
It's fine.
You then reprimanded me about the
You know
mic
what?
for 3
You would
minutes.
know how my episodes begin if you listen to the pod.
But then I'd have to hear myself. And I don't even want to be perceived by myself. You don't even have to
listen to your episodes. You can listen to others. There's Dustin. There's Kira. There's
I've heard other ones.
Oh, you have?
I just don't listen to mine.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you listen to other ones, you know the beginnings always start random.
I know this is a long random one though.
Yeah, this is pretty long. All right, cool. It's only been 5 minutes. Now, this is what we're talking about. So season 4, episode 13. Thanks for coming back. I do want to make a quick announcement though. So this season, I did decide that I was going to do 20 episodes, and that's very cute and it's ambitious. But now that I'm getting into the summer, I think I'm going to knock this off by 5. We're going to stop this season at episode 15.
I've changed my mind.
Yeah, because I'm tired. I like to go back to my script. You know, I was going to start this hiatus working on my narrator career that I kind of want to do. You know, so to me, I just like, I got other things to do. Like, that's no disrespect to the people who listen to this pod. I'm trying to maintain episodes and like keep people entertained. Then I did 2 episodes of Blackmail with you. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, 4 episodes of Blackmail with you. We did 2 parts of Blackmail Volume 1 and then 2 parts of Blackmail Volume 2.
Oh, yeah.
Then I just did 2 parts. You weren't on it. I did it by myself. 2 parts of the Franklin scandal. So I'm doing a bunch of 2-parters, and in my head, I already did these episodes.
I mean, that's
like I've done more episodes than I've done more multiple parts than I was probably supposed to. So, I mean, it's like no disrespect to y'all because I really do appreciate y'all listening, but I need a break. And I've said this before when I usually do my hiatus, which I always come back for Halloween after I end my season. Talking about serial killers is heavy, and sometimes you just want to pull back from it and like enjoy your life for a little bit. That's all.
Yeah, I get it.
Sip. Ooh. All right, who are we talking about today? Today we're going to be talking about Donald Pee Wee Gaskins. He already sounds like a nightmare.
I just like the name.
Yeah. There's also a band. I think it's like a
called what?
Pee Wee Gaskins. It's weird. Yeah.
Don't
like that. That's kind of weird. Yeah,
this made me want to do a Pee Wee voice. I'm not going
please
to.
Please don't.
I'm not.
But he's pretty terrible. So trigger warning in advance. It's not great. This man was mean. He was very mean. He was one of the most prolific and bizarre serial killers in American history. He was operating in South Carolina in the 1960s and 1970s. So just imagine the most dangerous person you could think of and then picture him standing at 5'3", 130 pounds soaking wet. You got Pee Wee. This dwarf was a racist. He was psychotic. He was a loser for sure. And he spent most of his time murdering people because he felt like he had to. For the episode, I read the book Donald Gaskins, The Meanest Man in America by Jack Rosewood. The poison on this episode is the palmetto cocktail, which I'm in a rum moment. I think I'm getting close to my trip and I'm starting to want more rum. Mm-hmm. So basically in a mixing glass, you combine aged rum, sweet vermouth, and orange bitters, which is giving old fashioned with rum. You stir it until it's perfectly chilled, and then you strain it into a chilled coupe glass, and you express the orange twist all over it and drop the orange peel in, and boom, you got yourself a palmetto cocktail. Sounds delicious. Did I have that the other night?
With me?
Yeah, when we went to dinner.
I don't think so.
Oh, palmetto, yeah. No, I didn't, but I feel like I had a version of it. Remember the other night when I was just like drinking rum all night?
The red one, though? Because all I can remember is you had that little red drink.
That red drink. It was red. Yeah, it was red. It was fire. That drink was good.
And then I had some kind of mezcal. I don't remember.
Yeah, you had mezcal.
Delicious.
All right, so let's start from the beginning. Let's knock this out. Now, I don't know why I put myself through this.
Such
honestly.
Enthusiasm.
Because it's like when you do it, you read it, you research it, and you're like, I know, and then when it's time to present it, like I've already read this 3 times.
What she's really trying to say is you guys are going to have to start paying per episode. This is too much work.
I didn't say that at all.
Especially you want all these extra episodes. People don't have time for this.
Nobody's asked. People do kind of want me to do video, but I barely have time for audio. So video, it just seems like
$100 a video.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. So
50 for a long time subscribers.
I thought you were about to say 50 for a good time. I was about to say
way more than 50 for a good time.
I was about to say, nah. Not that prostitution is a problem at all. We like, no, $50 not enough.
It's kind of a problem. Well, I guess it's not a problem.
It's not anymore. A problem. I respect prostitutes. Now.
Respect?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. It's a
yeah, me too.
I
forgot you can't say that. I respect
it's not a matter
equally.
of it's not a matter of not saying it because I can't. It's a matter of I respect prostitutes.
Me too.
Yeah. You're saying it because you can't say that you don't respect.
This is very untrue. If everyone could see my face, they would know that I'm absolutely telling the truth.
All right. So Donald Henry Gaskins, okay? He was born March 13th, 1930. Oh, I didn't tell her.
1930. Oh.
I was about to say.
It's going to be a while when I can feel it.
It is. It's pretty insane.
I'm going to cut you off.
But I was going to say, too, I wanted to tell my audience that I cut my hair, but they can't see that.
You can't see it, but you would be able to see it if you would pay and subscribe to the video service.
If you follow my
this turned into OnlyFans, isn't it? You want to see Brittany's hair? Subscribe.
No, you can go to my TikTok if you want to see it. TikTok handle is in the show notes.
But if you want to see close-ups,
okay,
OnlyFans.
If you want to see us bust open,
you want to see the real curls.
Oh,
whoa, I didn't say it. The bust. We jumped. I still meant your hair. Jesus.
Okay, so Donald Henry Gaskins was born on March 13th, 1933 as Donald Henry Parrott Jr., okay? It's like he got two names. In Florence County, South Carolina, to an impoverished 14-year-old single mother, okay? Not good. Not starting off great. His father, I'm assuming, is Donald Henry Parrott Jr., Senior, but I have no information on him. So who knows exactly who his father is, and who cares? Because he's an awful human being. When he was born, he weighed only 4 pounds at birth. He was so tiny that everyone immediately labeled him Pee-wee. His mother paid so little attention to him that he didn't even know his real name was Donald until he was 13 years old and heard a judge read it out loud in court.
Wow.
Yep. When he was just a toddler, severe neglect resulted in him accidentally drinking a bottle of kerosene, which left him... This nigga just laughed.
I didn't mean to either. I was trying to hide it. Thank you.
Which left him suffering from violent convulsions until he was 3 years old. And this may have actually stunted his growth, honestly. Shockingly, his childhood was a revolving door of his mother's abusive alcoholic boyfriends. And he also had a stepfather who openly beat him. Eventually, she married, and Gaskins later wrote that his stepfather would, quote, backhand me and knock me clean across the room just for practice.
That's pretty terrible. He
was even beaten by his uncles. It seems like every man in his life felt like they needed to beat him. Why did I put this over here? Because this is hard to read. Okay. When Gaskins was just a kid, a travel carnival rode through South Carolina, and one of the side attractions was this gruesome, low-budget nightmare featuring a massive king cobra, right? So the carnies would charge people a few cents to like watch them toss live rats into the cage.
Sorry.
Now, that cobra wasn't hungry. It was just bloated and sluggish and completely full. But every time a new rat hit the floor, the snake would like instantly strike it, snap its neck, and leave it for dead. Now, this was slaughter purely for the sake of slaughter. And while normal parents were grabbing their kids and hauling ass away from the cage, little Pee-wee stood there, frozen, mesmerized even. Gaskins later recalled that watching that predator kill simply because it could gave him a very first taste of sexual arousal.
From the snake eating the rats?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you were. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Copy that.
This kid was wired wrong from the jump. Now, from that day forward, Gaskins didn't want to be a victim anymore. He decided he wanted to be the cobra, right? He realized that in his world, you were either the helpless rat trapped in a cage, or you were the ultimate predator who killed simply because you could. And Gaskins acted on that later in life. Now, in school, Gaskins hated it. He hated every inch of it. He thought it was torture. Kids would say, Pee-wee, 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 playing with his Pee-wee. Which,
very clever children.
Not creative at all. He was savagely bullied by other kids and frequently beaten by his teachers, who blamed him for all of the fights that he got into.
This was the 60s?
Now we're in like the 40s.
Oh, okay.
So he would have to hide his truancies because he hated school so much he would stop going. So he would have to hide his truancies from his stepfather, who told him that if he didn't go to school, he would have to work in the fields. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to work on cars. But every time he got caught hanging around mechanics, he would get beaten. And so by the age of 8, he effectively quit school to hide out in the woods all day. And this is when he learned to lie. By age 11, he teamed up with 2 other local dropouts, and their gang was called the Troubled Trio. They started with petty theft. They were gambling, burglaries, but it quickly escalated to assaulting and raping younger children. Yeah. Threatening them to be quiet, too. This is where he used sexual violence to exploit people. Very, very young doing this. The trio gang even raped one of the gang members' sisters. They were all beaten for this, but not one parent got the law involved.
Wait, they raped one of the sisters in the group?
No, one of the gang members, one of the 3. They raped one of his sisters.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, that's like internal. Like they.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Nobody was off limits, apparently.
Okay. All right.
He learned that intimidation works. People were terrified of him, and everyone knew that he hated women and girls. And he was especially mad that, quote, them bitches can do anything they want. And after the rape, the other 2 members left the area, and Gaskins was all alone to terrorize people.
Did he get bigger?
No.
Because you said he was so small and now people were scared of him.
No, he didn't.
Huh.
No. By age 13 in 1946, a young girl caught him breaking into her home and pulled out a hatchet on him. It's like, get out of my house. And Gaskins snatched the hatchet, struck her in the head and in the arm, and left her for dead. 13. She survived by crawling to a nearby stream until she was found, and a 13-year-old Gaskins was slapped with an attempted murder charge and sent to a reform school until he was 18. Mm-hmm.
You said he was 13? He
was 13. He was sent to a reform school until he was 18.
But that's only 5 years.
Yeah.
He tried to murder a girl.
Juvenile. So, they get lesser charges even for crazy offenses. Until we can't even get the rest of the story out. Kill him now. It's time. Now, because of his tiny frame, he was immediately targeted, violently gang raped. He was passed around as currency by the older boys at the South Carolina Industrial School for Boys. He survived by trading sex to the strongest inmate for protection. And one boy, liked to watch the gang rapes with him on the bottom. So if he was being the bottom, he wanted to watch him be gang raped.
Yeah, now I get your preference.
Yeah, I said this was pretty bad. He needed to get out of there and made multiple escape attempts. And after a year, Gaskin and 4 other boys tried to escape. But Gaskins was the one to actually succeed. A police officer caught him, though, and noticed him lurking around in an abandoned house. He returned and was beaten by the prison staff. Now, this didn't help. He tried to escape again. He was gone for like a week, but then he was caught and then he was beaten again. Like that was just like the cycle. It kind of reminded me, it's funny, when I was getting my hair done, the lady who did my hair wanted to listen to an episode I did with Kira because she knows Kira. And I played Carl Panzram, who had a very similar history like this. Carl Panzram, though, tends to be a little more revered in the sense, even though the freaks kind of like Gaskins too. But Carl Panzram grew up where at a very young age, his parents tried to cure an ear infection by pouring boiling hot water into his ear. And they stuck a knife in his ear first, thinking they can cut out the infection. And then they poured boiling hot water into his ear. Now, on that episode, I was talking about how like that had to be one of the reasons why he's so fucked up, right? Because it happened to him very young. Throughout his life, he ends up being like a murdering rapist psychopath where he would like train hop and like basically rape hobos up and down like wherever he was going. And this guy kind of reminds me of that, where, you know, rape is not about sex. It's just so much about power. And when they feel inferior, they have these like very strong inferiority complexes. That's kind of the only way they feel, because their frontal lobe is fucked. That's kind of how they feel like they can survive, is by being the biggest, the baddest, the hardest, the strongest, person in the room. The difference between Gaskins and Carl Panzram was that Carl Panzram was actually like a big swole dude. This dude is small. Gaskins almost makes a little more sense because he was being torn around and raped and they were treating him like a little rag doll. And so as he got older, these people grow up and it's either kill or be killed. Like, if this is the life I'm gonna live, I'd rather be the one that's bullying than being bullied. It's sad, but it kind of...
Go get rich.
Yeah, go do something else. Move. He could have left. I would have just left South Carolina at some point. But, whatever. Now, he does try to escape 2 more times. And following his release from the reform school in 1951, Gaskins initially took a job working on a local tobacco farm. But Pee-wee wasn't built for honest, back-breaking labor. He quickly figured out a much more lucrative side hustle, which was stealing the tobacco right out of the barns and selling it. This would ensure that he would have a little bit of money. And so to ensure that his tracks were covered and that, everything was completely erased and they couldn't tie it back to him, he would set the barn on fire to cover up the theft. So arson is always a part of this too. But he also would be hired to set barns on fire by the farmers who wanted the insurance money.
How old is he at this point?
At this point, he got out at 18. He's 18.
Okay.
Now, he quickly figured out that worked. And so that was a nice little hustle for him. It was his first real taste of burning the evidence. This is how we get rid of it, is by by setting it on fire. Once the law started sniffing around and they were asking about these arsons and these thefts, Gaskin realized that he needed to kind of leave. He was like, I need to get out of Dodge because the block is getting hot, literally and figuratively. And that's when he runs away and he joins the traveling carnival. This man had a life. It was a convenient mobile hiding place for him where no one asked for a background check. So he was like, I'm good. I'll just join the freak show. Now, imagine a guy who already kind of looks at cobras as life coaches, completely untethered from society, traveling from town to town with a group of outcasts, carnies, and scammers. So for Gaskins, the carnival was a masterclass in how to be a predator. One, it taught him 2 things that made him a highly effective serial killer later in life. He learned how to manipulate people, how to spot vulnerability from a mile away, and he could read a crowd. He figured out exactly what to say to get people to trust him, despite his very creepy vibe, because people said they were kind of, he was a little weird. Now, 2, carnivals are transient. So you can roll into a small southern town, you can cause some chaos, and by the time anyone notices like things are missing or something was wrong, the truck is packed and you 3 counties away. So for him, it was nice. The escape was the carnival is always moving. It also completely fell into his belief that he could do whatever he wanted without consequences. And he eventually left the carnival life. He got married to a 13-year-old named Hazel Jones and tried to play normal, which they always do because they're like, wait a minute, something's wrong with me, but I'm going to settle down, have a wife and get married. And on April 17, 1952, she gave birth to their daughter, Shirley. The marriage was volatile and it was short-lived. This would be one of 6 wives, by the way. So.
Were they all children?
I only acknowledge 2 because those are the 2 official ones. And I'm going to explain that in a minute because at some point his marriages were just for the sake of like helping, like not helping people, but helping himself and like needing to have, other relationships to make it look like he's married to someone, what I mean? To cover up his identity. By the time he was 19 in 1952, Gaskins went after a local farmer's daughter with a hammer and he split her skull wide open. This earned him a 6-year ticket to South Carolina Penitentiary, but this time he was playing with the big boys in the adult facility. He was not in juvie. To survive this time, He took out the most feared massive inmate in the entire prison. They called them a power man. And this man was named Hazel Brazil. He killed him in the prison. He got his hands on a paring knife and he cornered the man while he was on the toilet and he slit his throat. And that put another 9 years on his sentence for manslaughter. Because he was like, nah, we ain't about to do that again. He claimed self-defense, of course. I'm like, the man was on the shitter, but he was kind of raping you, so I get it. Because the guy, they talk about how the guy was like, all right, he was kind of his bitch, but he was kind of like doing things. He knew that that's how he was going to survive. He's like, look, I already know they're going to rape me. I'm going to just lean into it. I'm going to find me a power man or whatever. And then it hit him that, wait a minute, I'm going to be a power man because that's the only way we can survive in here. So I need to kill someone that is a power man. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Everybody knows that.
Now,
kill the big guy.
Exactly. Now, it earned him the reputation as a tiny, fearless psychopath. So to him, he was like, works for me. Now, this combined with the fact that he topped at 5'3" and 130 pounds, it created this inferiority complex. He learned very early that the world is hostile, and he became obsessed with seizing total authority by any means necessary. He was now a power man. In 1955, he heard about his wife's plan to divorce him, so he escaped again. And he stole a car, but he went to Florida. And when he linked up with then he linked up with this carnival again while he was in Florida, and he married his second wife, quote unquote, even though he was still married. It was a lot. He'd be doing too much. It's important to note that Gaskins was notorious for drifting. He was changing his names. He was collecting, quote unquote, wives, like hobbies, but he was only officially married twice, like I said. So he left again, and he fled with a contortionist that he met at the carnival named Betty Gates. He really liked her. They drove to Tennessee, where she was convinced that Gaskins, or she convinced Gaskins to deliver cigarettes to her brother who was in jail. But she tricked him. She booked, and he found out that the carton of cigarettes had a weapon in it, and it was used to help her brother escape. And also her brother was actually her husband. So it wasn't her brother, it was her husband. She just lied to him, took advantage of him, and was like, hey, I need you to deliver these cigarettes. And he was like, I bet. And he delivered them. And when they found out that there was a weapon in it, he got in trouble. He returned to jail after that.
I'm going to tread lightly here. So you're telling me that he met this girl after he broke out of prison, and the girl asked him to go back to prison to deliver cigarettes to her brother, doing air quotes for the
It was
audience.
we're in Tennessee now, so remember that part. We're in a different state.
Okay,
Either
so
way,
he went to a different prison.
Yeah, even though he's a fugitive.
I mean, I wouldn't go back to prison under any circumstances had I just escaped a prison.
Like, why are you even asking me to do this?
For the contortionist, right?
But I will say, they said that he was semi-intelligent, and I no disrespect to people with country accent, because I can sometimes have one, but he kind of sounded like he may have been a little slow. And at first I was like, well, maybe that is one of the reasons why he's like, okay, you know what I mean?
That ain't why.
No.
That ain't why. We don't need to get into it.
No,
this is not intelligence.
No, you're right. That's true.
He met some woman.
Yeah, he did.
That was a contortionist.
Yep.
She batted her eyes and sent him on a mission. He said, okay.
Okay, I'm going to do it.
Sure. And then it was her husband.
So they were staying at this like hotel motel situation. He gets back to the hotel. The police are there. She's gone. They had this stolen car that they were in. The police are there. She's gone. And then he's like, what's the big idea? And they're like, yeah, you're coming with us. So he was sent back to jail.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild. Now, the prison walls didn't keep him from escalating, because he couldn't even see the light of day. He tacked a fresh 9 months onto his sentence for pulling a double whammy. He was aiding a jailbreak. He knifed another fellow inmate who crossed him. And shortly after getting out, why does he keep getting out? He got caught driving a stolen ride across state lines. A ride straight back to federal prison, though. This time in Atlanta. He ends up going, he does a 3-year stretch in Atlanta. And it's in Atlanta where he comes up with this elaborate story that, like, while he was in Atlanta on the federal yard, he rubbed elbows with Frank Costello, and he claims that that Frank Costello told him, like, "Ooh, I like you. I'm gonna give you a nickname. You're gonna be called the Little Hatchet Man." And he even promised him a spot on the payroll. You could take that with a grain of salt. I don't know. I ain't asked Frank Costello, so I can't really verify those claims. But shortly after his release in 1960, the evaluation from his time in the system explicitly stated that he showed, quote, recurrent instances of psychopathic lying and stealing. We are sure from our dealing with abnormal delinquents that this boy is antisocial and there is something in his past development that is preying upon his mind. We consider him dangerous. They said it flat out. Yeah, y'all kept releasing this nigga. I don't understand how these people do it. By 1961, he was paroled back to Florence, South Carolina, and he immediately goes back to stealing, burglary specifically. To dodge the cops, he lands a job as a driver and an assistant for a traveling minister. Now, it is the ultimate cover. He's driving this preacher from town to town. He helps with the services, and then he robs the local houses at night while everyone is praying.
Under the guise of Jesus.
Yep. The preacher gig falls apart, when Gaskins is arrested for statutory rape of a 12-year-old. So, he received 8 years in prison. However, he doesn't.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. He doesn't want to go back to prison, though. So he steals a car. He flees the states. He flees that state and runs to North Carolina. And
Why is it so easy for them to? Is it because it's the 60s?
It's the time. Yeah, it's the time.
Oh, I guess it's like the times of life.
There's no digital tracking. People out there hitchhiking and shit. They like, whatever, bad record keeping. Now, while hiding out in North Carolina under a fake identity, he meets and marries 17-year-old girl Neola Ranch, second wife. Technically his fourth wife, but second official wife. Now, his new wife eventually finds out about his past and his warrant, and she turns him straight to the police. Her betrayal sent a heavily armed squad to drag Gaskins back to South Carolina Penitentiary with a fresh 6-year sentence. He was released in 1968. But something in him had completely calcified. Why do they keep releasing him? I cannot stop asking that question. In 1969, he picked up a female hitchhiker in North Carolina. Now, Gaskins became angry with the girl for laughing at him when he asked her for sex, and he beat her until she was unconscious. Then he raped her, sodomized her, tortured her, and sunk her body into a swamp where she drowned. He later said, quote, all I could think about is how I could do anything I wanted to her. By September 1969, he didn't just return to a life of petty theft, even though it was his bread and butter. He proceeded to launch an unhinged campaign of serial rapes and murders. Okay. Now, Gaskins split his victims into two categories. There was the coastal kills, and then there were the serious kills. And there's also like a A to that, which is his for hire kills, right? The coastal kills were his version of like a sick hobby. He was just cruising the highways. He pick up hitchhikers, strangers, whatever. He torture them, murder them because it's simply just what he wanted to do. But the serious kills, those were personal. These were straight up executions of his own friends, his family, anyone in his inner circle who dared to cross him or challenge his obsession with domination. You had to go. During his coastal kills phase, these recreational hits he carried out for pure sadistic hell of it, Gaskins decided that just snuffing out a life wasn't doing it for him. Specifically, his serious mind. When he shifted into what he called the serious mind, the fun stopped. To Gaskins, entering his serious mind wasn't about like chaotic pleasure. It was about a cold calculated state of utility and self-preservation. This is just what I have to do, for whatever reason. And he turned on his serious mind when someone in his life crossed him or knew too much about him or threatened his power. That's him. Yeah, I know. Your face.
I know somebody like that.
Okay. In his audio tapes, he bragged about pushing his atrocities to the limit with a select few. He claimed he occasionally cannibalized his victims, bragging.
All right, I think this may be the first one I've just walked off of. Like, how deep are we in? How many women has he hit in the head with a hammer or something blunt? You said he has raped. I've lost count of how many people. Mm-hmm. And now you're just going to sprinkle on top that he's been fucking eating them? Like, what are we doing?
What are we doing? What are we even doing?
I'm glad you all enjoy this.
He was bragging that eating them gave him the ultimate permanent possession over their bodies, and he made them watch while he ate bits of their flesh, and even made his victims eat parts of their own bodies.
Like Hannibal Lecter.
Sir.
Before?
I was like, I'm not getting into the weeds on that. I didn't even look into that further because I really don't have time.
I mean,
he burned some. He liked to hang others. He was also obsessed with drowning and fluid-based torture. He once pumped a woman full of water until it literally came out of her nose.
I'm actually
he relished every second of it. She was in agonizing fucking pain.
I feel bad participating in something that is giving him any more.
I know. Thankfully, he's very dead. But
Not enough.
Okay.
Not enough.
Not enough. Now, his daughter said later, quote.
What?
His daughter. He had one with his first marriage. She was on documentary. If you want to watch the documentary, it's going to be in the show notes. It was a brief 45-minute documentary I found on YouTube. It was actually pretty good.
When is the documentary from?
Oh, I don't know what year it was from.
Like, how old is the daughter?
It's pretty
I'm just
recent.
curious.
Oh, she's old.
Okay.
Because she was born in the 50s.
Okay. That's what I figured.
Yeah, she's old. So his daughter said later, quote, he would get the urge. He would have to see blood. He called himself a vampire. That grew exponentially.
Oh, he was just, I mean, like,
he was
really
fucked up.
crazy.
He was
like,
really,
I guess I knew
real
that from
crazy.
the beginning, but this is.
Yeah, this is bad. Now, to his neighbors, he was just a quiet mechanic. Kind of strange. He spent his days under the hoods of old cars and trucks. But
I think that's how people feel about me with the cameras. It's like, you're just weird with cameras.
He just got cameras.
Guarantee I'm not raping or murdering or eating anyone.
I'm happy to know that.
I just don't like y'all.
But behind closed doors, Gaskins was running a massive, highly organized illegal vehicle theft and chop shop ring, which same. I mean, hood shit. You know, there's always that guy. You know, I would do it at this point.
That's total acceptable crime.
Now, he wasn't just stealing the cars for cash, though. He was dismantling them. He was swapping the parts. He was running scams on the side, and he was altering vehicle identification numbers to sell them across state lines.
That's too much.
Now, this operation gave him a steady flow of traceable cash, and it meant that Gaskins had constant access and a revolving door of different vehicles, trucks, vans, mobile homes, the whole kit and caboodle. He could change his ride practically every week. And when he was cruising coastal routes, hunting for hitchhikers, he was never tied to a single suspect vehicle, but he did drive a hearse.
I'm sorry, a hearse?
Yep. And
Why?
It had inscribed on the hearse, "I hold dead bodies."
I can't wait till we get to the end and I'll figure out how he was caught.
But the community thought he was just eccentric.
He better have been caught. Like, if this ends where he just died peacefully on some fucking farm.
Nah. By 1970, his confirmed and suspected victims were rapidly piling up. I mean, his very first hit, devastatingly close to home. Gaskins targeted his 15-year-old niece, Janice Kirby, and her 17-year-old friend, Patricia Ann Alsbrook, in Sumter. He lured them in. He drove them out. He savagely killed both teenage girls. And in his audio tapes, Gaskins claims that he flew into a righteous rage over their alleged drug use. But investigators and historians saw right through the psychological gymnastics. They were like, this dude is full of shit. Gaskins didn't care about their choices. He had cornered them for the intent of sexual assault. And the second they resisted, he needed them to be quiet.
And this is his like blood niece.
Yes, sir.
So did his family know about any of this? Like any of it?
First of all, his mom was a fucking vagabond.
Well,
he ain't got no family for
fair
real.
enough.
But
what about
they knew he was weird. But I think, excuse me, I think the problem is that everyone absolutely feared him. And so...
What about the siblings, though? Because you said this is his niece, so what was his relationship with this?
He didn't have one for real. But it's not a small town, but it's a small enough town where, here's the thing. He did cosplay as a decent family man. Because even his daughter was like, he's my dad. Kind of remind me of the BTK killer too. I always find it very weird. Like, I get it. Like, okay, your dad took you to Disney World, but he also murdered and raped people, which I feel like at some point would kind of change my opinion of a person, no matter how good a time I had with them.
Yeah.
But when you hear her talk about him, because on the documentary and in the books, there are no references to any of his siblings. Like I don't know if people just didn't want to be interviewed or what. But with her, she's the one that speaks the most about him. And it's very, my daddy, I love my daddy.
Is that how she sounds?
That's how she talks.
Oh, now I want to see it.
I love my daddy. That's my daddy. Okay, that's your daddy. And she acknowledges that she didn't agree with anything that he did, but she loved the daddy.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because you're saying it like, people talk about the like celebrities. It's like, well, he was that to y'all, but he was just my dad. It's just like, it's different with like,
it's like
murder.
when Usher came out about Diddy or whatever, and he was like very blasé about the victims. And we talked about this the other day, how like two things can exist in the same space. Mm-hmm. I feel like you can appreciate everything that a person has done for you in your career. Y'all had a relationship, but you could also acknowledge that he did terrible things. Yeah. I think it's you choosing a side instead of just meeting it somewhere in the middle. I feel like it's totally safe to be like very fucked up. And I think
it's probably still fear though.
I think so. And I think that's what I was leading to as well, is that I think the community as a whole knew something was wrong with him, knew the type of shenanigans he engaged in, knew the charges. This man has a very storied institutional career. Yep. He spent a lot of time in penitentiary for brutal crimes. They knew what he was capable of, and so they just stayed away from him.
Which is crazy that he just kept getting out. I still don't understand.
That's
I know
what
it's a different
annoys
time,
me.
but like you said several times, like he beat this woman, he bashed her head in, he raped this person. It's like he's broke out of prison. I think you said at least 5 times at this point.
I haven't even counted, but sure. That sounds close. Yeah.
I don't really get it.
Yeah. Now, by 1971 or 72, Gaskins murdered 20-year-old Martha Ann Dix, woman who was locally known as Clyde. That was her nickname, which I think is such a cute nickname. And the very first Black victim that he killed, Gaskins claimed he poisoned her, spinning a wild web of justifications on his audio tapes, ranging from a rumor that he fathered her unborn child to a claim that she was a drug dealer who supplied drugs to his niece, to absolute fury that she got married and left for Texas. And everybody was like, I'm confused. Why did you kill her? But I'd like to note that Gaskins was a violent racist, and apparently he tolerated her. He let her hang around the shop. He cracked jokes. She would crack jokes about him all the time. He tolerated that. But one day she started saying that she was pregnant with his child. And this could have been the motive, because she later said her death was due. He later said that her death was due to her lying mouth. So my guess is that he's a racist. He was sleeping with some random Black girl, 20-year-old Black woman. And when she started saying she was pregnant because he's a racist, he killed her. He's like, nah, nigga, you ain't about to be talking about me like that. It's like, it's like the old slave master mentality. It's like you hate Black people so much, but you like to rape them. And I think that's weird.
He also just killed people.
He killed his niece Tuesday. 5 minutes ago.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it's hard to even break down why
he killed her.
So many people for no seemingly good reason.
But I think the bigger question was, like, if you hate Black people so much, why were you hanging around Martha Ann Dix? That's what everybody was kind of saying too. It's like, yes, he's a killer. We're not surprised that he killed her. But at the same time, like, you hanging around this black lady, it's like, yeah, because he was probably attracted to her. And he probably killed her because he was attracted to her.
I mean, that narrative has not changed in modern day.
No, it has
society.
not.
So
no. Now
that's all I'll say about that.
That's true. Now, her bones were eventually discovered in a ditch, and they were lost after being sent to a university for study. But decades later, and as in decades, I mean just June of last year, a box containing her remains was suddenly recovered from a closet in the College of Charleston. So,
what are we doing?
I don't know.
You said last year?
Yeah, 2025.
Can you lose paperwork at your job?
Can you lose remains?
But that's what I'm saying. It's just like...
They were her remains. So there was a box of remains that you just like, oh, what's in here? And it's like, oh.
I told you, I think production is ruined because I understand people make mistakes and you give people grace. But like sometimes when you tell these stories about like government or police, it's like, well, you
should run your life like a fucking TV show.
You can't do that in a film office.
I said the same
lose
thing.
Something, just like, oops.
Or like when they say that the Pentagon hasn't passed an audit in decades.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how do you get away with that?
We're going into.
I remember your last audit. You were like lockdown.
That's why I'm delayed on these episodes. Right. I took damn near a month off on the episodes because I was doing my audit.
Could have just.
And I was like, how embarrassing to fail an audit. I didn't, but how embarrassing would it be to fail an audit and then consistently fail an audit? I think my PFE would get to a point and be like, I don't know if you know anything, actually.
And then eventually you would not be there.
Yeah, I will eventually get fired. And that's the crazy part. Like you saying, it's like you hear about these investigators and part of me just thinks this is just racism. Honestly, they just didn't care. But
that's ultimately, I think, what it boils down
it boils down to that. But there have been several cases, and there's a lot of times too where it's just blatant cover up, which I don't think that's what this is. Mm-hmm. But I've done so many cases where high level people will be like, oh, we just don't have evidence, or we accidentally threw it away, or
conveniently missing, conveniently
missing. Like I remember we did the Idaho 4 episode.
Yeah.
One thing that came out of that episode out of that case much later, or I may have mentioned it on the episode actually, was that there was forensic evidence that was in a fridge somewhere, and then the fridge went out. So they can't use that evidence.
Come on. Like,
nigga, what?
Slightly too convenient.
Are we really? Okay. So anyway, now in June 1973, Gaskins targeted a local acquaintance by the name of Doreen Hope Dempsey, who was 22 years old, 7 months pregnant. Trigger warning. This is fucked up. Along with her innocent 2-year-old daughter, Robin Michelle. Now, Gaskins had known Doreen for years, but he flew into a rage when he learned that she was pregnant with her second biracial child, fathered by a black man, and Gaskins was irritated. So Gaskins, this is a quote, trigger warning, Gaskins took her to a wooded area. He raped and killed her, then raped and sodomized her baby. After killing the child, he buried them together. Quote, the rape of the child would later be described by Gaskins as the best sex of his life.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. What's wrong with your audience?
What's wrong with me?
I mean, I was going to give you the pass because I love you already. I don't know y'all. No offense to you.
I didn't have to include that, but I was like,
but that's the nature
a lot. That's the crime.
That's crazy. Like, this is wildly uncomfortable.
It was on the documentary. And when they mentioned it, because it was like a British produced documentary, they mentioned it and then they bleeped it out. And I was like, they said, and baby. And I was like, what did she just say? And it was his daughter talking about it too. And the baby. I was like, did she just say he raped the baby? And then I went back into my book and I was like, he motherfucking raped the baby.
I mean, obviously, this is all terribly grotesque. Like,
it's awful.
But that's like,
but the
some
fact
shit's just like, that's truly pure evil.
And it's also the follow-up, the best sex of my life quote.
Like, this dude was seriously doing.
You know what? And this is no disrespect to your species.
I'm sorry, what? How did I?
Or even men. Or
to
even
my what?
Species, men.
No,
women.
we're going to shut this whole episode down. Take it back.
So
take it back. I will not be.
No disrespect to your species.
Way you phrase it,
so
I will not be involved in this.
I'm not saying that you are. What I'm saying is,
talking about your species.
I said men. No disrespect to men in a real sense.
I'll pull up a whole list of evil, terrible women. Are you kidding me?
Shut the fuck up.
You know, number one.
So, what did she rape a baby?
I don't know what she did.
So anyway, so here we go.
Been learning a lot the last few months.
My problem with this is that this man has so many men around him too. This is where I'm just like, the co-signing of men being okay with their friends beating girls, women, children, raping them, whatever. It's also just like, what type of people are you around? Later, we'll find out what type of people he be around. But you have to know, as the perpetrator, that this is safe to a certain extent, or you got to know that these people are so control. I have these people under my control to a certain extent. They're never going to tell on me.
I thought he was hiding everything, though. I thought you said he was like playing a good game. So like, are we assuming that everyone around him knew?
Well, I'm talking about as far as what we know, which is he does go to jail a lot for heinous crimes.
Sure.
The beating and murdering of kids when he was a kid, you know, I can see some people being like, okay, but like, do you kind of think that just because he was a kid, like he stopped doing that? Because then we also have crimes when he's 18, 19, 20, 22. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I kind of, and then you also, and I know the times are different too. Like right now we speak a lot about men who are substantially older, but back then men dated teenage girls all the time. That's not unusual. And so that is not even that alarming if you consider the time period. Not appropriate, but that's how people rocked back then.
Yeah.
At the same time, this man has this like little core group of men that he does card shit with that kind of do know how he engages. Now,
but whether
they explicit no.
Like the trio, I guess was many years before.
When he was a kid, yeah. But I'm talking about his adult years, like him running this chop shop situation or whatever. Like, I don't know I don't think that they knew that he was like raping and murdering and then disposing of bodies per se.
And eating people?
But they did notice that a lot of people that was around him was disappearing. So there's an interesting moment with his daughter where his daughter says that he would invite people to the house, she would cook for them, and they would just disappear, never to be heard from again.
This is like one of those movies. Like, that, I don't know. That's super strange. But I guess you just ignore it until...
Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, what? She'll be like, oh, what happened to blah, blah, blah? And he'll be like, oh, she left town. Why everybody leaving town?
Yeah.
People leave town all the time, don't get me wrong, but not your whole friend group all at once, or even within a matter of years. But then all of a sudden you start finding out that people are missing. And I think that a lot of these people started to, like I said before, kind of think like, something ain't right here. Yeah. But they were just too scared to respond to it. And truthfully, this is kind of trailer trash. I think in trailer trash, whether they want to admit it or not, have the same experiences like we have in the hood, where they don't always even trust that the authorities are going to do anything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So they don't immediately respond by contacting the cops. They're like, they're not going to do nothing. I don't even got no proof.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what they say on TikTok. It's like, I got the feeling something is there, but I don't got the evidence. And you with cops, like, they typically like, well, we can't search anything because we got to get the evidence and there must be probable cause. And, it's like, do you even want to waste your time? Do you want to mess up your position? I think I'm answering my question. Do you want to mess up not even the relationship that you have with him, but put a target on your back because he heard that you called the cops?
Yeah. People want to not be involved.
Yeah. And I think when you got somebody who is this deranged, I think people are like, if that nigga can kill a baby, he can kill me. Like,
well,
I mean,
I
don't think anyone was off the list. Nobody was off the list for this man. He would kill anybody.
That's crazy. I don't know. We just need I don't know, heroes or something.
Yeah,
Because you said he's this small, little, frail, weird man that killed a baby, and it's like somebody could take him out.
Literally. I mean, that's what I'm saying is, and I think that's what I was trying to also get to is that like you got these people around you. These people are afraid of you, but nobody thought to poison him, to put a pillow over his head while he was asleep, to stab him to death real quick, give him the old prison shank. And the fact that he even survived prison, like even niggas in prison was like, leave Pee Wee alone.
Yeah.
He crazy town, you know? So, oh, and wait till I tell you that story. So now by 1974, Gaskins' illegal, did I read this part? No. Gaskins' illegal auto theft and boat stripping rings began to crumble. And
how old is he? Do we know?
74. He was born, he's 40?
Okay. Just curious. In the 70s. Okay.
Yeah. He's born in 33. Yeah, so he's like 41. Now, Gaskins' illegal auto theft ring is crumbling, and his friend and criminal partner, 36-year-old Johnny Sellers, made a mistake of demanding money he was owed for a hustle that they did together. And paranoid that Sellers was going to rat on him to the cops, Gaskins cornered him and shot him in the back of the head. Now, his 22-year-old ex-girlfriend, Jessie Ruth Judy, was at the wrong place at the absolute wrong time because she was a witness who could tie Gaskins to the auto rings and the murder of her boyfriend, so Gaskins stabbed her to death. By 1975, Gaskins claims that his victim count exceeded 80, which I believe him. Okay, like I get it. Y'all don't have evidence to convict him of all these crimes, but this nigga is like on a roll, like constantly killing people. Mostly young kids that he snatched off the North Carolina highways during his, coastal murder phase. But those quote, old bothersome feelings, he actually looked forward to the itch because scratching it with torture and murder felt good to him. So to Gaskins, those highway hits were just weekend recreation. When he turned his sights onto people he actually knew, he called those his serious murders. But by February 1975, Gaskin had fully pivoted into a cold-blooded gun for hire. He started getting paid now for his hits. And a local woman named Suzanne Kipper Owens was caught in a nasty feud with her ex-boyfriend, Silas Barnwell Yates. Why everybody got three names? Suzanne and her new husband, John Owens, handed Gaskins a cool $1,500 to make Yates disappear. And Yates had his throat brutally slit with a knife. But Gaskins claimed that he actually executed the man with a single lethal karate chop. Hi-ya! Kick, punch, it's all in the mind. Remember Parappa the Rapper?
Yes, I do. I had a friend that just got a Japanese import of that game.
Shut your mouth.
He just came back from Japan.
Oh,
funny, yeah,
so
funny
cool.
you said that. Yeah. Kick, punch,
yeah.
it's all in the mind.
It's like, nigga, lethal karate chop. Okay, you're 130 pounds, but maybe. Crazy people be strong. I always have to correct myself on that. Like,
I don't know though. Like you keep saying he's small. Now he's like killing people with his bare hands all of a sudden.
That's what he said. That's what he said. I don't trust that nigga for real.
I don't think I've ever been on an episode where I was just angry. Usually just kind of mortified. Like it's just this is just infuriating. Yeah.
Now in April 1975, Gaskins' right-hand man and chop shop co-conspirator Walter Neely was separated from his wife, 25-year-old Diane Bellamy Neely. And Diane, she knew entirely too much. She had threatened to drop a dime to the law about Gaskins running an underage sex ring out of his house. So to shut her up, Gaskins stabbed her to death after agreeing to pay her $5,000 for her silence. Now, her 34-year-old boyfriend, Avery Leroy Howard, was caught in the crosshairs. Howard had recently been pitched for fraud and auto theft, and he was aggressively pressuring Gaskins to give him cash for his legal fees, and Gaskin was like, cool, and shot him in the head.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Then there was 13-year-old Kim Gelkin. Now, Gaskins had illegally trafficked her away from her home in North Charleston and subjected her to horrific sexual abuse by a ring of adult men, including himself. But when the young girl threatened to tell the police what was happening to her,
first of all of these.
Right. Gaskins stabbed her to death. And fortunately, she did have people who cared about her. By October 10th, 1975, Gaskins was neck deep in his serious murders, and this one was over a debt for a batch of stolen guns. So when 28-year-old Dennis Bellamy showed up at Gaskins' mobile home looking for his cash, Gaskins flipped. He played the friendly neighbor, claiming that the payout was stashed in the woods. And so he lured Dennis deep into the tree line and put a bullet directly in the back of his skull.
He said the money was in the woods?
Yeah. I keep my money in the woods.
Well, go get it and bring it to me. I'm not
going with you. Then he killed Dennis's 15-year-old half-brother, John Henry Knight. He told that kid that he was just meeting up with his brother, only to execute him right there on the spot. So to Gaskins, it was simple math. He needed to make sure that there wasn't a single witness left breathing to speak his name. But what Gaskins didn't realize is when he buried Dennis and John side by side in the swamp grave, the clock was pretty much running out for him. He had escalated exponentially. We got a lot of people coming up missing.
I mean, he had a good run.
He had a crazy run.
Like, what has it been at this point? It's been 40 years.
It's 15 years. Well, if you can consider the murders, because his murder started in the 60s.
Yes, I consider the murders.
Yeah.
Yes.
But if you consider the rape, he's been awful since like the 40s.
Well, yes, I consider all of it, honestly. Yeah.
Now, the first real crack in Gaskins' armor came from a local investigation into a missing child who is Kim Gaskins. She vanished, and when investigators started tracing her final movements, the trail led the law straight to Gaskins because multiple witnesses and intelligence reports placed the Gaskins with him, or Galkin with him. And it was discovered that Gaskins had actively moved her away from her home in North Charleston without parental permission. And once the law raided Gaskins' place and they dragged up clothing belonging to Kim Galkin, they had enough leverage to slap him with contributing to the delinquency of a minor and tossed him back into jail. Local police departments and the State Law Enforcement Division, also known as SLED, started looking closer at the people in his circle, and they realized a terrifying common thread. An alarming number of people who were related to Gaskins worked with him in his illegal car theft rings, or just knew him casually, had dropped completely off the face of the earth. Where'd they go? But while Pee Wee was rotting in the cell awaiting trial, his right-hand man, Walter Neely, cracked under the pressure from investigators. And Gaskin bragged to Neely about his crimes a lot. And Neely didn't just talk. He said, quote, or the book said, quote, Neely looked at the detectives and spilled everything, uttering the words that changed the case forever. Pee Wee has his own private graveyard. So they were like, say more. Gaskin's biggest mistake was including Neely to help with cleaning up his crimes. Because the thing was, Neely was a little retarded. I would like to say that. And
I don't think you can say that.
Well, I did.
Okay.
And Neely was a little off. He helped him with certain things, helped him dispose of bodies and things like that. And that's when they were like, okay, show us where these people are buried. But Gaskin's biggest mistake was that because for a long time, Gaskins was doing everything by himself. Nobody really knew for sure. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, even if they had suspicions, they didn't know. Like we talked about, they didn't have evidence. Neely did. He knew where the bodies were buried, quite literally. And so by the end of 1975, the game was up. Walter Neely marched a heavily armed squad of SLED agents right into the swamp. And they brought in specialized vapor sensing gear, and they started tearing into the earth. For 6 days, investigators methodically dug up Gaskin's private graveyard. They pulled the remains of 8 human beings, including Dennis Bellamy and his kid brother, John Henry Knight, and that poor young mother and her 2-year-old toddler. He had kind of buried people in pairs. So when he killed them, he just, he was killing like 2 people at a time. So he would just put them in these holes together. Now, the law finally had it all. The bodies, the forensics, the star witness, ready to tell them everything. And Gaskins was not getting out anytime soon. But on April 27th, 1976, the state dropped charges, charging both Gaskin and Walter Neely with 8 counts of first-degree murder. So Gaskins tried to play his classic game, painting himself as an innocent victim caught up in a web of lies, but the jury wasn't buying it. They were like, yeah, you can shut up. On May 24th, 1976, after just 47 minutes of deliberation, a Florence County jury found him guilty of the calculated execution of Dennis Bellamy and sentenced him to death. Gaskins immediately sang like a canary. He started confessing to the other 7 murders in a desperate bid to stack up plea deals and avoid any additional death sentences, because he was like, In November 1978, Gaskin got the ultimate lucky break because there were shifting death penalty rules. So they basically put a referendum on the death penalty in the state during the 1970s, and Gaskin's sentence was eventually commuted to life, topped with 7 consecutive life terms because he admitted to 7 more murders. Mm-hmm. Now, locked away in a maximum security block, Gaskins absolutely thrived. He loved it. He was a mythological creature to the other inmates. They gave him so much attention because of his reputation, and he was the big man on campus, even if he was only 5'3". But his vacation from the executioner didn't last. By 1978, South Carolina re-legislated and they legalized the death penalty again. And Gaskins, he didn't necessarily think that applied to him, but it did. But it did. So then, while this nigga was in jail for a handful of outside cash, Gaskin engineered a prison bombing.
What?
Yeah.
Blowing
up a fellow death row inmate named Rudolph Tyner. Tyner was a young black, also retarded, man sitting on South Carolina's death row for the brutal, high-profile murder and robbery of an elderly couple who owned a local corner store, right? The couple happened to be a part of a prominent family, and their adopted son, Tony Simo, conspired with Gaskins to assassinate Tyner. And he put a massive financial bounty on Tyner's head.
Can I help you?
My brother is Collector Tony. My name is Gerald McCormick.
Thank you.
Hello?
I have a customer called you, Tony, from Joe McCormick. Will you accept?
Yes, I will.
Thank you. Are you Tony?
Yes.
Fine, thank you.
Tony? Yeah. Gerald wanted me to call you. Said, tell you this is the doctor calling you. Uh-huh. We give that son of a bitch all of it but 1 dose, and all it is doing is making that son of a bitch sick. We put it in some damn book for him to drink the other night. He drank, and 2 more drank, and all it was made all 3 of them sick as hell. I come up with something. There can't be no damn making sick on it. I need 1 electric cap and as much of a stick of damn dynamite as you can get.
Okay, well, I'll probably get at least some plastic explosive.
Well, that'd be good. I'll take a damn radio and rig it into a bum, and when he plugs that son of a bitch up, it'll blow him on into hell. Just listen for the bang.
Now, after a failed attempt to poison Tyner, Gaskins didn't just stab him in the yard. He treated this like an engineering project. He spent weeks befriending Tyner, earning his trust, and now for some reason they hired Gaskins as the resident maintenance man, so he actually had a toolkit in
now
his...
you're just making shit up. Now I don't believe it anymore. Like, this is 1976, 78. So he has been in prison. Like, they hired him. I don't believe any of it anymore. I don't believe it. This doesn't even make sense. Like, he blew up a fellow prisoner. Like, after he finally got caught, they found his grave. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. This is very entertaining. I'm glad you're doing it.
Thank you.
It's not real.
So he had a toolkit, but he needed more. So Gaskins got his hands on a stash of black market plastic explosives.
Easy work.
And a standard plastic cup to create a telephone system between the cells. He meticulously rigged the explosives directly into the cup and had another inmate deliver it to Tyner under the guise that it was a speaker allowing them to communicate. Gaskins hooked up the wiring to a live battery, flipped the switch, and when Tyner put it up to his ear, the device exploded.
Like MacGyver?
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
The bomb detonated instantly and completely blew off Tyner's head. He flew into several pieces. They said there were fingers all over the prison.
Like Breaking Bad. Like, do you
What happened in Breaking Bad?
the bell?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like this is how dramatic this sounds to me because I'm like now it honestly
it
sounds a
like
little
movie.
fantastical.
It does.
Now. But I feel like I say this
there are
every
crime
episode
scene
though.
photos on the documentary of the cell. There's blood everywhere.
Well, for me, that's okay, but I'm sure your audience will get that link in there for you all.
Now, Gaskins had recorded his conversation with Tony Simo, and when the investigators got their hands on the tapes, the state didn't hesitate. They put Pee-wee right back on trial. And
Will someone murder him already? Like, what are we
they
doing?
secured a fresh conviction and handed him a ticket straight to the electric chair.
Okay, great. Again, just point blank range at this point.
Yeah,
but
just shoot him. On May 23rd, 1983, 36-year-old Tony Simo pled guilty to accessory to murder. He was slapped with an 8-year sentence, but he only served 6 months. Anyway, so Gaskins started looking for any out, okay? He wanted desperately to get out of this execution. He began singing about dozens of cold cases. He was practically begging the state to pause the switch so he could lead them to these hidden graveyards. And they were like, okay, we will listen if you have evidence. The most explosive confession he made was claiming he committed the 1970 murder of a 13-year-old girl named Peggy Coutinho, the daughter of a high-profile South Carolina lawmaker. But now there was a major hitch in that plan, though, because the state had already locked up a man for that murder. And so Gaskins, he couldn't provide a single lick of hard evidence. And the prosecutors saw it for exactly what it was. They were like, this is a publicity stunt because you just want a few more minutes of breath. And they weren't buying it. They weren't buying what he was selling at all. Gaskins spent his final months pouring his inner darkness into a tape recorder, working with Wilton Earl on an autobiography called Final Truth. And in Final Truth, Gaskin bragged about his real body count, which he said was over 100 people. But he never showed authorities where a single one of those graves were located. On the flip side, some childhood acquaintances claim that Gaskins entirely fabricated his backstory, that there was no severe abuse, and they were insisting that he was actually tremendously loved and he got attention growing up.
This is like the Joker.
It is.
I keep making references, but
it's like, what is true? I'm just giving you all and you can figure it out. Now, Gaskins was a textbook psychopath. He was a sociopath. And in modern clinical terms, he suffered from a severe, unrehabilitatable case of antisocial personality disorder. There was a total absence of human empathy. He cared for no one but himself. He possessed no concept of right or wrong and acted entirely out of self-preservation and the personal enjoyment of his crimes. But as the clock ticked closer to midnight, he got real philosophical. He started rattling off hours of graphic, unfiltered tape about bothersome feelings and that, these feelings came over him when he was a kid. And even while rotting on death row and surrounded by guards, the monster was still hunting because he was actively plotting to snatch a toddler, the lead prosecutor's 4-year-old daughter, simply just to use her as leverage so he could escape. Now, he fancied himself a criminal mastermind, but all he really did was prove to the state that he was a predator and he was far too dangerous to be kept alive. So on September 6th, 1991, the day of his execution, Gaskins tried one last pathetic trick. Alexa be doing too much. Gaskins tried one last pathetic trick. He smuggled a razor blade into his cell and he slashed his wrist, hoping that would send him to the hospital. They'd postpone the execution. I'm like, you got the nerve to be afraid of being executed. Right. Gaskins tried that and they were like, we're done with you. How about we go ahead and stitch you right on up? They patched his arm up, stitched him up, and marched him right to the electric chair.
As they should.
At 1:05 a.m., they flipped the switch, and Donald Pee Wee Gaskins was pronounced dead by electrocution. His last words.
When was this?
This was 1991. His last words. I'll let my lawyers talk for me. I'm ready to go. Can't tell you were ready to go because you were just trying to get up 5 minutes ago. Now, whether those taped memoirs were a roadmap of actual slaughter or just a pathetic, unhinged fantasy of a tiny loser, one thing is certain. Donald Pee Wee Gaskins was a straight up predator who didn't give a fuck about anything or anybody at all. And when you strip away the myth, the audio tapes, and the terrifying body count, what you actually left with is an entire life trying to convince the world, and probably himself, that he was bigger, badder, and that he can protect himself. I mean, he wanted us to believe that whatever this serious mind was made him a god amongst men, you know, the kind of this like guy who was able to give someone life and give someone death, you know, that type of thing. But the cold,
like God.
Exactly. But the cold, hard reality, he was a small, deeply insecure, hateful man who couldn't handle a world that underestimated him. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. He was pathetic and he was cowardly, and he used those two, that whole serious mind thing as a coping mechanism. But it was an ultimate shield of an entitled psychopath who couldn't stand the thought of anyone crossing him. So Gaskins spent his life talking about the aggravated and bothersome feelings that he had. His diagnosis revealed that those feelings were exactly what they were, the psychotic urges of a predator who looked at every single person around him as either a victim to be broken or a problem to be erased. So that's the story of Donald Pee Wee Gaskins.
That was insane. Like that whole thing from the very start to finish. You usually kind of have some backstory. We lead into it. Like it was pretty unhinged from like sentence 2 or 3. I'm be honest with you. Like I'm truly disturbed. Love your audience because they support you and I love you. But I don't know what's wrong with y'all. Like
You're like, this would be the last episode.
I'm so disturbed. Like, I can barely handle fake gruesome. Is like, this really happened somewhere throughout history and I'm just thinking about it now.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
You want to go get food though?
I mean,
I got a new spot.
A little bit, but I also am thinking about babies and
oh, yeah, that's true.
That was terrible. It was terrible, but I'm hungry.
Okay, let's eat. I'll see you all. I'm going to try to get another episode out next week just to kind of like, and don't forget, it'll only be 15 this season. I'm sticking to that because, yeah.
Unless you want to pay for the premium subscription in which you'll get those extra 5 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. But I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We got to eat. And I hope I always say, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know you didn't. It's fine.
What?
I know
you yell at me for that kind of self-deprecating behavior.
You enjoyed that episode.
I'm sure you enjoyed it. I don't know why you enjoyed it, but I'm sure that you did. Also, if you want to see our hair, subscribe to the OnlyFans.
Well, okay, period. And
you'll only see hair because we don't get down like that over here.
Only hair.
There you go.
It'll just be pictures.
You want to see the creep stuff? Subscribe elsewhere.
All right, y'all. I'll see you next week. It'll be more pleasant next week.
It probably won't.
It probably won't. Bye.
Well, maybe than this one. Bye.